Welcome to Mouth Dancing. I'm your host, Young. Now that it's springtime and the weather's starting to get better, a lot of people are getting, into health, starting to work out and stuff. And I think a lot of people are looking into detoxifying their bodies so they can flush all the toxins out. I think you do it by not eating and by drinking a lot of liquids, like water and lemon juice and tea, and then it makes you flush out all the stuff, all the crap out of your body that's built up in there. Like, just from breathing the air, there's a lot of pollution. And in the food that you eat, there's a lot of stuff that could kill you probably. And then, if you drink a lot of alcohol or do a lot of drugs, you want to flush that stuff out of your body too. Because, if too much of that poison builds up in your body basically starts to become poisonous. And at some point, if it builds up enough, you can literally almost become poisonous like a snake. And then that makes you a danger to your loved ones and your friends. If you're too toxic and you bite someone, you could kill them possibly. But you got to be careful with detoxifying because you don't want to get too clean. Because if you clean yourself out too much, then your body gets confused because it's used to being a little bit dirty. It's used to having a little bit of toxicity inside of it. And if you suddenly eliminate all the toxins, your body gets really confused. But yeah, those are a couple things you want to consider if you're looking into a detox program. Is, first of all, the method you're going to use. And second of all, is not detoxing too much. Those are the main things you're going to want to check out. But there's a lot of different ways you can do it. I was looking at a picture of the statue of David the other day, and I was wondering if statues are pornographic. Because something like the David is so realistic that it practically looks like a naked person, right? Standing there. I mean, it was the guy who made it, Leonardo. He was basically modeling it on an actual naked guy who was standing there. And, he chiseled out all the features that this guy had, including his junk. And if you were to just glance real quick and look away, you might think that there's a naked guy standing there. Except for the size of the statue, it's gigantic. I mean, you might for a second think there's like a gigantic guy standing there naked. And it might kind of freak you out. But how come statues like that are not considered pornographic? Is it because they're art? But they're so close to a naked person that I don't see how it's different from pornography. And you can't show someone, I don't know, like a sensitive group of people. You can't show them, like people who are opposed to pornography or people who are not of age yet. You could show them a picture of the statue of David, but you can't show them a, pornographic website or magazine because that's illegal. So I was wondering why that is. What's the difference? I mean, a statue in some ways is even more dangerous because it's like an actual thing and it's not just a picture on a screen or a piece of paper. And I don't know, I mean, you could almost have sex with it probably. You can't really have sex with a magazine. I mean, I tried it when I was a teenager, but it didn't really work. So why is that? You could probably make a full magazine or a website with just pictures of nude statues, and it would look kind of like a porno magazine. I bet some people would even get off to it. I wonder if anyone would buy that. Be like Statues in the Buff magazine. That might be a good idea actually, because then if you get if you're a teenager, like a horny teenager, and you want to you could have that in your room, and if your mom found it, it wouldn't be as embarrassing. You'd be like, so what, Mom? It's art. But at the same time, it's maybe you could get the job done, you know what I mean? And in the process, you could learn a lot of stuff about history and art and what statues are made out of, sculptures too. You could probably even throw some paintings in there, There are a lot of paintings of nude people. And like in art class, a lot of people draw naked people. And I know there are guys or even women who like, what is that stuff? Hentai? Which is just basically drawings of, naked people. As a straight guy, though, I only have one issue with, hentai or something like that is I can't stop thinking about the fact that a lot of times the picture was drawn by a guy, and I'm looking at this picture. It looks pretty erotic, but I have a hard time not thinking about the fact that I don't know, just some middle-aged guy probably drew it. He drew it. He lovingly drew it, and sketched it out and everything. Maybe a different person colored it in though, like an assistant who I would find attractive compared to the original artist. So maybe I could think of the assistant instead of the guy who actually drew the painting or drew it. I don't know. There could be female artists who drew these things too, though. So I know that these days there are a lot more female artists in the anime world. So maybe I could just buy the ones drawn by them. And it's only an issue for me since I'm straight. There are all kinds of people out there who maybe would actually like the fact that it was drawn by a dude. And in that case, it would work out really well for those people. But even a cartoonish painting or a cartoonish drawing itself, for some reason I have a hard time getting off to that. It's just too obviously a drawing. But a statue, some of those things are really close to like a person, You could probably dry hump one of those things for sure. I mean, people do that already with like sex dolls or Dutch wives that you blow up. And I think some of them are not even blow up dolls these days. They're like really realistic. Like they're really realistic dolls that you can order and they deliver them to your house. So on that level, they're definitely more pornographic than pictures. So that's just something you might want to think about for lots of different reasons, I thought it'd be cool if they made shoes with removable soles. So that way, if you go to a household where you have to take your shoes off, you could just kind of unzip the sole and leave that in their foyer or out in the hallway or whatever, and then step up inside their house, and then just the tops of your shoes would be on your feet. And that way you could maintain the look, too, of still wearing shoes, because maybe that's part of the embarrassment is like, it really goes with your outfit. The shoes, you thought it out and you don't want to take it off, and maybe you don't want to show people your feet or your socks. And that way it would cover most of your feet too. People could only really see the bottoms of your feet when you're walking or if you're sitting, like cross-legged. But for the most part, it wouldn't really be an issue, I think. And also that would be a good way, like, oh crap, you live in a house where you take your shoes off all the time, and then this happens to me a lot. I'm like about to leave and I put my shoes on, and then I'm like, oh crap, I forgot something in my apartment and I have to go back in. And I gotta take my shoes off again, which I just put on and tied and everything. If I could just unzip the sole and leave it there and then walk into my apartment like that, that would be way more convenient. I wouldn't have to take my shoes off all the time when that happens. Or like walk on my knees into the house to get my stuff. That's pretty cool. Or that's definitely a feature that I'd like to see in shoes in the future. Why do old guys get so grumpy? I was thinking about how to prevent this from happening. Because, there are still people who are old who manage to stay pretty zen, right? They're still pretty chill and they seem content and happy. I think maybe that has a lot to do with the fact that they made it that far and maybe they feel pretty satisfied with what they've accomplished. So if you don't want to be a grumpy old person, you have to, while you're still young or relatively young, you got to get out there and take advantage of life as much as possible. And then once you do get old, if you want to stay happy about life and feel good, I think you have to get into lifting. You got to hit the gym and seriously lift some weights or, run. You got to go jogging and swimming. Oh yeah, and eat healthy. That's important too. And that could also go along with your detox program, which I talked about earlier. Anyway, thanks for listening. And please take care of yourselves. Not just physically, but also mentally. And check out my TikTok at Mouth Dancing Podcast. Also my Instagram and Twitter at Mouth Dancing. And I'll see you next week.